Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Kyoto Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge AYANE. And this figure is one that I was very much looking forward to. I've always liked the Team Ninja stuff. And the Ryu Hayabusa that came out already, I think that was from 2, right? It wasn't 1, it was from 2. It had some issues. I think a lot of people liked it. I still like it, but for instance, the knees don't work very well. They fall apart and get loose and things like that. So anyway, I'm hoping Ninja Gaiden 3 gives us a better batch of figures. Now, we don't have Ryu Hayabusa yet. Should be soon. But here we have Purple Hair Lady. And it's got some really nice things going on. Some interesting things for the brand. And it's generally pretty cool. But there is some stuff to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we take a look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. The packaging, I'm going to say it every time. I don't like the new Revoltech packaging. This whole modern everything needs to be gray and lifeless. I don't love it. The photo's fine here. This is okay. Love the back. The back's nice. I miss their old style of packaging a lot. I miss everything being fun and colorful, and now everything is gray and dead inside. Oh, it's like, never mind. Okay, so, yeah, it looks cool. I like the back. They always do a good job. These guys and Mayfix both have really nice packages on the back, so that's good. This is the standard version. It doesn't have the pre-order bonus. I'll get to that in the accessory part, though. Alright, so this one is in stock, or at least it's going in and out of pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store, so they're probably getting their shipments in and out, that kind of thing. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to get one. You'll be able to do that down there. Alright, this one stands about 14.5 centimeters at the top of her head. There's not a whole lot of hair height there, so I'll just leave it at that. And that's going to be about 5 3/4, give or take. So she's pretty well scaled here. She is up against Darwin. They fit in at basically 1/12 scale. I mean, not true 1/12 scale, but they fit in with other figures just fine. Revoltechs tend to be a little taller than other imports, and these guys are no different. Let's just get into a question of the day. Which Ninja Gaiden game is your favorite? For me, it's number 1. I like number 1 the most. I haven't played past number 2, so I can't tell you much more than that. Number 2 was fine. I don't know. There were some things about 2 that I didn't like. Maybe I didn't give it enough time. I was a young person at the time and didn't waste time on things too much. And a lot of games require you to waste a little bit of time to get into them, so maybe it's my fault. All right, let's. Whatever. Okay, let's get into the aesthetic on this figure. At first glance, it doesn't look too much like a Revoltech. I don't see a ton of cuts and weird things going on, so that's nice. But then also, I did notice there are 2 things that really stand out on this. They did a weird thing with the shoulders. I guess to try to hide their ugly shoulders? I think they just made them ugly in a different way. They don't need... I don't know what that piece is for. That little triangle sticking out doesn't help the articulation. We'll get to it later. But it makes it look weird. It makes her look more robotic than necessary. It doesn't need to be there at all. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is the hair. The hair is completely translucent. There's shading on it, so it's darker purple to lighter purple, and I like the idea. But she does just have purple hair. It's not supposed to be made of light or something like that. So I think you can do transparent here, but you need to do more paint. There needs to be more paint on it. It can't look like it's fully transparent. Like dry brush on top of it or something, so you get a little bit of that color from the headband or whatever poking through. But being purely transparent does make it look, should be saying translucent, does make it look a little bit strange. The top looks way better with that extra paint on there, so that is a little bit odd. But otherwise it looks really good. The details are clean. Revoltech isn't always known for that, but it has nice sculpted details, nice painted details. Yeah, it's a pretty darn good looking figure. Lots of details on there. And then her scarf that looks like this. I think it was in 3 where they really jumped the shark with the designs. Not that they were ever particularly modest or reasonable, but yeah, I don't know about the butterfly scarf thing. But yeah, the paintwork on it is nice. It looks good. So yeah, it's a good looking figure for sure. No real complaints about it. The face is really nice. The eyes are posable. Luckily mine came pretty straight and I'm not going to touch them. I hate adjusting eyes unless I'm actually going for a pose and putting it on the shelf. Not doing it for the review. I don't feel like messing with it. But yeah, you can move her eyes around. So yeah, she looks good. I would say for a Revoltech, this is like a 9 out of 10 for the aesthetic. It looks really nice. It's not gangly or weird looking. Like it looks like what it's supposed to look like. Mostly. There's a few issues though throughout. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just mine, but the hair doesn't sit quite right on that part of the head. I don't know if I can mess with it. let's mess with it for a second. All right. That was, let's get into focus. That was a, come on. That was a pain in the butt to try to take it apart. It would not come apart. I don't think I'm going to be able to get these pieces to line up any better, though. Yeah, it looks like that purple is just staying there. I don't think it's meant to come off. If it is meant to come off of the face, I'm having a heck of a time with it. I think it's glued on, and they glued it on crooked. So that's kind of unfortunate. The front purple is glued on crooked, so that sucks. Also, a common issue it turns out I'm having with this figure is things that are glued on are not staying glued on. So her hair tie thing came apart. I need to glue that again. So that sucks. And then, as I was handling the figure earlier, her one sword scabbard came off too, which we'll get to in a second. Oh, come on. So, a few issues, but at least it does look pretty good, and if it's only things coming unglued, you can probably re-glue them and not have too much of a problem, but that does suck. Alright, now as far as accessories go, you do get the handles for her swords that go into the ones that are on her legs, and that way it looks like they're there, or they're not there, and then you get the swords, of course. I would say they're probably like wakazashis, because they look a little bit long for a tanto, but they look really, really cool. The details on there are nice. But yeah, like right on this one here, they have these pegs glued onto them so they can move around on her leg. It came unglued just from barely touching it, so I'm gonna have to re-glue some things on this figure, but otherwise it looked okay. Anyway, other accessories include her kunai, which are very cool looking, and the bonus accessory for this figure I do believe was just a kunai with a ribbon on it, so like, yeah, it has a purpose from the game, but it's not, I don't think you're really missing out too much, so don't worry about it. And then you get a decent spread of hands, except she has no fist hands that aren't grippy hands, so that kind of sucks. And then you get her display stand, which I do love that they include those, though the screws are a little loose on it. Not bad. I'll go 7 out of 10 for accessories. I don't like that things are falling apart, which isn't really so much the accessories, but kind of, because you have to deal with the sword handles. And then the grippy hands not being there, that kind of sucks too. Alright, let's get into the articulation, because that's what Revoltech's known for. And on this figure, it's kind of weird, because if you look under her scarf, there's just no body there. And I don't care for that, because you're gonna see that sometimes. Now you can move the neck around quite a bit, so that's alright, and the head moves around on a ball peg on top of that, but it's not as much as I would have expected, and it does get gappier than I would have expected also. I don't want to see inside her scarf, underneath that scarf. That bottom part should not lift up like that. So that's a little bit unfortunate. You do get a big old ball hinge back here for this thing, so that's nice. And this doesn't weigh anything, by the way. They used, like, feels like ABS. It's very thin, and it will crack. It'll snap if you try to bend it, but it's nice because it's lightweight. But yeah, the head moves around pretty well, so that's okay. The shoulders, they did the thing where these shoulder pads and the whole shoulder socket can, like, rotate around, which I don't mind that at all. I like that. But I don't know why they added these triangle pieces of flesh. It doesn't need to be there, and they don't line up with any part of the anatomy that makes any sense. It should just be cupped. It should be rounded, especially since we just have our ball hinge up here, which is already rounded. So we don't really benefit from this. If that was just shaped like a socket, it would have looked better. It should just be smooth going all the way down. I don't get why they did that. But yeah, her shoulders do work. They are not the same thing as a normal Revoltech. You can rotate the whole thing around, and it kind of gives you good range, but not a ton, and it gets kind of weird looking. So I get that she's skinny and tiny, and they probably had some limitations due to that, but they're not great shoulders. They're just fine. They're certainly not as good as normal Revoltech figures, and they have some weird things going on. But they are functional enough. You can rotate at that part, of course. Then you have your single jointed elbows that aren't really like Revoltech elbows either, so you know, it's a little bit more limited in some ways, but it does look better in some ways, at least in the elbows, and that you get more rotation down there too, so that's fine. The wrists are on ball hinges, that's normal, or the wrists are ball hinges. The hands don't fall off too easily. Sometimes Revoltech do that a lot. This figure's not so bad about it, so that's okay. For the body, it's ball pegs, and it works nicely. It's not the craziest Revoltech ever. She leans back, and she does lean forward quite a bit, and that's really good. Leaning back, not as much. Forward's great, and then side to side, it's better at the top than at the lower parts, but it's still really good. You should be able to get her in plenty of poses with no real issues, and of course you have lots of rotation. These guys are on ball pegs. It's mostly a swivel, but it's a ball peg. So you can move those around, and then, like I said, these guys are on ball pegs too, but they love to pop off. The glue comes undone. So let's take the hilts or the handles off so that we can actually, that came off again. All right. So we can actually test out the hips. So going out to the side, they bump into each other or into the crotch or something. You can see it separates right here. It pushes the whole thing apart and doesn't really want to work. So you're going to have to finagle it. The Revoltech hips are still the weakest point of the figure, if you ask me. They are a pain in the ass. You can get it to do things, but especially with their ball peg that's like off center swivel, it's gonna be a hassle. They're super flexible, but also only in the ways they want you to do it. You can't just pose the hips like you would want to for like most other figures. So you'll be able to get things done, but only after finagling and doing this tedious game of which way do the hips actually go. It's quite weird. And also the way they put the ball peg in here this time, she has a big lump in her thigh if you're trying to actually use the range on that ball peg. So you're gonna have to keep that closed up if you don't want it to get lumpy. So there are definitely some limitations in the hips. It's not like they're bad, but they're certainly not as good as just make the hips normal. Stop going over the top with the hip designs, Revoltech. They're a little bit weird. For the knees, single jointed knees, they're some of the better looking ones in some ways. It's kind of bulbous here, but otherwise it's got a little bit more meat going on, so they don't look too bad. And then when you pose them, of course, you get all the range, so that's good. They're decent looking. They're fine. And then you do get this hinge down here, which is tighter than they usually are, which is nice so that she's not floppy, but you're probably not going to use it too much because it does look like the shin bone breaks unless you're going forward. So it's whatever. You can kind of ignore it on this figure, so that's what I'm going to do. And then for the ankle, you have all the range going back. That's nice. You have not very much range going forward, but enough. It's fine. And then ankle rocker is okay. You have good range there. And then the toe is actually a pretty solid toe. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of a nubbin right in there, but it's decent and it's not super loose, so that's okay. And even though she has heels, she stands all right. So this figure, it's not like Revoltech's best poser at all. It's not something like Catwoman or something like that, but she does look pretty good overall. A few weird issues for the articulation that look weird and don't work at all. Like that doesn't serve any purpose, but the rest of it looks decent and poses well enough that I think it's fine. For me, it's kind of a nice thing because most of the time when Revoltech goes overboard, I think they don't look good enough to justify it. And this figure still poses really well. Can I do this, please? Still poses really well and looks decent. So I'll take it. I'll give it for Revoltech. If you like that it looks better, I'll give the articulation an 8. If you like that it doesn't look better and doesn't pose as well, I'll give it a 7, because Revoltechs are known for being super posers, and this is better than average, but it's not, for Revoltech standards, anything special. So yeah, good figure, looks good, accessories are good, nothing stands out other than the general aesthetic is nice, but I'll go 7 out of 10. I like it. It's not like surprising me in any way. I thought I was going to really, really like it, but I don't. It's just a good figure. I'm happy to have it, but nothing stands out really. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but I'll be done there. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.